everyone and welcome back to my channel Lessons at Fingertips. Here we discuss on some important topics in really simple words so that it's easier for you all to understand and keep things in mind. So today our topic of discussion is going to be 10 basic principles of economics. Remember this, the 10 basic principle of economics is the very beginning. It's the very starting of the discussion when we talk about the subject economics. What do you think is economics? Economics is the study of how society manages its scarce resources. You should always keep two things in mind. The human wants are unlimited, but the means to satisfy those wants are limited. That is what we call as scarce resources. Now the thing is, what is economics? Economics is the study which shows how the society is managing with the scarce resources. Because in a society we are the individuals, right? And we being the human beings have unlimited wants. Now how are we satisfying ourselves in this world of limited resources or scarce resources? That is the study of economics. So in the economics, the first and very important thing which you go through is the 10 basic principles of economics. Now let us begin with the first principle, and that is what people face trade-off. What do you think is trade-off? What is the term trade-off imply? It implies a choice which an individual has to take, has to make. Why? Because resources are scarce. So people face trade-off. Why? Because individuals have to make choice between two goods as resources are scarce. Okay. One of the example if I give you is, suppose a nation will have to choose whether to produce gun or butter. What does that imply? That if a nation is deciding that I should concentrate more on my defense, then it will invest less on the daily, day-to-day activities, right? On the, trade. It will look more in the national defense side. So the country has to decide whether I should be investing more on guns or on butter. The second example I have written here is equality and efficiency. What does that imply? You see, in a country what happens? That the rich are charged more tax and the poor are charged less tax. So what does that imply? That government is taking the money from the rich people in the form of tax, giving it to the poor in the form of some welfare facilities. Government has opened government schools, right? The public schools, where the poor people, the children of the poor people go and study. They do not have to pay the fees. Rather, they get expenses for the cycles or books or shoes or dress, uniform. So they get the expenses for that. So from where government is getting the money? It is collecting the tax from whom? The rich people. So this is how the equality is maintained. Now, what will happen if in the society the rich people decides that we should not work anymore, we should not be doing this much of hard work? Because what is the result of doing the hard work? We are working hard, we are earning the money, and we are paying so much of tax, and our tax government is using for the welfare of some other poor people who might not have maybe worked that much hard. So what is happening? Efficiency is losing, isn't it? So because of maintaining the equality, there is a loss of efficiency. So a trade-off is occurring for the government that which one to choose, whether I should maintain the equality or whether I should go with the efficiency. Understanding? So what is happening? There is a trade-off. There is a choice which is occurring. This was the first and very important one of the 10 principles, basic principles of economics. Next, we go to the opportunity cost. What does that imply? That a country, what is the value of a particular product? If you see, we always have to keep in mind that the resources are scarce, that the resources are limited, but human wants are unlimited. Suppose you can buy with the limited 100 rupees, you have 100 rupees, that is your resource. With that resource, you can buy 5 units of product A and 10 units of product B. Now, if you want to increase the purchase of product B, you will definitely have to reduce the purchase of product A, because you have 100 rupees only. Your resources are limited. So, what does that imply? What is the cost of again 1 unit of B? The cost which you are foregoing, isn't it? The product which you are foregoing, you are losing a unit of A to increase, suppose to increase to 2 units of B, you are letting go, you are giving up. What you are giving up? 1 unit of A. So what is the cost of 2 units of B? That is equals to the cost of 1 unit of A. That is what we call the opportunity cost. Cost of something is what we give up to get that thing. Next, we move on to the third point, that is what rational people thinks at the margin. What does that imply? That a person's willingness to pay will depend on the marginal benefit from that product. Isn't it? Means what? If I tell you, why does it happen that water is very useful, diamond is not useful, but people are ready to pay more price for a diamond rather than a cup of water? Why? Because of the marginal benefit. Marginal benefit depends on how much unit an individual already possess. Water is plentiful, but diamond is rare. People usually do not have, jars of diamond, right? But you have jar of water, you have barrels of water, you don't have barrels of diamond. So people are ready to pay for something which they do not have, which they have in rare case. And the one which is available in a lot of, plentiful, people are not ready to pay for that thing. Why? Because the marginal benefit is less from that. So the willingness for a person to pay depends on what? The marginal benefit. And marginal benefit depends on what? How much it's available. The more the scarce the resource is, the more is the marginal benefit. So that is what rational people thinks at the margin. Got it? Next is what the fourth point, people response to incentive. You see, now in the online days, the best example I will give you is, you are attending a webinar, and in the webinar in the corner it's written that e-certificates will be given, and then only you will be attending. Whenever I will forward, our webinar's link, people will ask me whether I will get an e-certificate for attending it. If I say yes, you will get, okay, I'm sure I will join it. Why does that happen? Because people are responding to incentive. That e-certificate is the incentive. Nowadays, knowledge is not the incentive. People will not join because they will get some knowledge. They will get well acquainted to something. No. But because they will get the e-certificate. Understood? So that is called incentive. That people will respond to something, will react to something. You will do your homework. Why? Because you know next day if I go to the school without doing my homework, I will be punished. So, incentive doesn't only mean reward, it can also be a punishment. Anything to which people react and starts working. Got it? That is called people respond to incentive. This was the fourth point of the 10 basic principles in economics. We will move on to the fifth point. Trade can make everyone better off. What does that imply? If I take two countries, country A and country B, it's not possible that all country A will be good in producing all the resources. Same goes for country B. It's not possible that country B will be good at producing all resources. If country A is good at producing car and country B is good at producing the leather covers for the car and everything, so what should they do? They should trade between each other. What does that imply? Country A will trade for the car and take the leather covers, from country B. They can trade with each other, isn't it? But if country A starts investing its resources, its money in production of the leather commodities or the leather seat covers or something, what will happen? there will be loss of resources. Why? Because country A is not expertise in producing that. So trade will make everyone better off. Why? Because trade allows country to specialize in what they do the best and induces variety. When you are doing something which you like, which you specialize, you can even start producing lots of varieties. You can trade with others, take different commodities and produce something new because you are specialized in producing that very commodity. Understood? And also there will be less wastage of resources. This was the fifth point of 10 basic principles of economics. Next we will go on to the sixth point. Markets are a good way to organize economic activity. If you see the early days when only one person has the right to take all the decisions that what goods are to be sold, who should be buying what things, then that was so much difficult market. People were not satisfied. But if you see now, invisible hand works in the market. What does invisible hand states? That whenever the price of one commodity is increasing, the demand for another commodity is decreasing, and because of this, there is always a pressure on the demand curve, right? Price will automatically increase as per the market demand and will decrease as per the market demand. No one has to fix anything. Why does this happen? Because there are millions of firms and households present in the market who influences the demand curve. Got it? So what does that imply? Then markets, whenever you are talking about markets, it implies in market there are millions of firms and households. The firm will decide that whom to approach, from whom we should employ, what to produce. And how will the firm decide what to produce based on the demand prevailing in the market? Who is going to make the demand? The households are going to make the demand. The households will decide that which firm should I approach, isn't it? Which firm should I choose? And how will the household choose? Based on the prices, based on the quality available, based on the taste and preferences. So everything works, you see, so nicely, so synchronized manner. And it works automatically, isn't it? So that is what we say, that markets are a good way to organize economic activity. Next we are telling what government can sometimes improve market outcome. Yes. For example, suppose the farmer is producing. Okay. Now, why will the farmer produce if he thinks that my whatever I have produced, I am going to lose that. It's going to be stolen. The farmer will not produce. The farmer will produce because he knows that my property is safe. So this kind of things, the property rights. You see, the property rights. Or the externalities, the positive externalities. Sometimes government can even provide subsidy, which will increase the tendency of business, especially for the one who is very newcomer to the market, a new businessman. If he gets certain kind of facilities from the government, it will increase the incentive. You see, that's also an incentive. So government can sometimes improve the market outcome. Got it? There are market failure. Externalities also is a reason for market failure. It's a reason for market when the market is working properly. We have two types of externality: the positive externality and the negative externality. What is positive externality? Something which is affecting the outcome of the market, positively. Something which is affecting negatively is negative externality. Got it? Air pollution is negative externality. Why? Because it's affecting the society negatively. What is positive externality? The good outcomes that you are getting. That is a positive externality. Got it? So that is what we are saying. The government can sometimes improve the market outcome. How? By managing the externalities, or by issuing some kind of property rights, or some other rights to the common people, so that they will feel safe. They will feel safe to produce a particular commodity, to work in certain way. So this was all 7 I have discussed. Now we will move on to the 8th point. Okay, so now what we are going to do is discuss the last 3 points of the 10 basic principles in economics. So the 8th one, if you see, a country's standard of living depends on its ability to produce goods and services. What does that imply? If you go through the 2008 report, you will know that United Nations, the average income was nearly $47,000. That of in Mexico was $10,000, and if you go to the Nigerian country, it was just $1,400. What does this imply? Why is there so much difference in the average income of people? Because of the productivity. The productivity of a nation is just not what the nation is producing, but in terms of per unit worker, how much a per unit worker is producing. When a worker is producing more quantity, how can it do that? Because they are technologically advanced, they have better technology to support them, they have better skills in their work environment, isn't it? So this is the overall thing try to analyze. It is not just how much a country is producing, what is the average income of the people in the country. This production, the outcome of the country shows how much the laborers are skilled, how much the workers are skilled, how much technologically developed is the country. So everything is shown by this simple thing, the overall productivity of the country. So the standard of living definitely will be affected, because more the productivity, more will be the average income. Higher the average income, higher will be the standard of living. If I earn $100 a month, I will have one TV. If you earn $500 a month, you will have 2, 3, how many TV units you want you can have, isn't it? Definitely there will be the effect in the standard of living. So that is how there is a link between the standard of living and the ability to produce in a country. Got it? Let's move on to the ninth point. Now the ninth point is a very nice one. It tells what? Prices rises when government prints too much of money. What does that imply? It implies inflation. What is inflation? Consistently increase in the price of product in the market is inflation, where the value of money falls. When government prints too much of money and too much of money is circulating in the market, the same happened during the demonetization also. Government, what did government do? It cancelled all the, the big currency notes which were prevailing in the market. Why? Because there were too much of currency, isn't it? Too much of money. There were too much of, the false currency that was there. So what is happening? Inflation means what? The money which is circulating in the market, the currency which is circulating in the market is like very high. And to control inflation, government also undertakes certain policies. The banks undertake certain policy. We can discuss about that in a later video. I will make a video on that, on how a government controls inflation, what actually happens in inflation. But for now, you just keep this in mind that prices, whenever government increases, the currency in the market, the prices of the product increases. That means inflation takes place. Now the last and very, very interesting point of the 10 basic principle of economics is that there is a trade-off between inflation and unemployment. Okay, what is trade-off? It's the choice. You will have to make a choice between inflation and unemployment. Let's see how. Whenever there is inflation, what does that imply? The price of the products are increasing. But this happens in short run, okay? Keep that in mind that the trade-off is occurring especially in short run, not in long run. Okay? Now you see, what is inflation? Means the currency in the market is like it have increased. That means the cash in hand of people have increased. Isn't it? The cash in hand of people have increased. That means what? People are now able to consume more of the commodities. पैसा मेरे पास ज़्यादा है, so now I can consume more commodities, isn't it? I can increase my consumption. Now to increase my consumption, what will happen? My demand will increase. In the market, the demand will increase. If the demand for commodity increases in the market, in the short run, try to understand, in the short run, if the demand is increasing, what does that imply? Now the producers will increase its what? Production. Now to increase the production, to increase the supply in the market, अभी demand increase कर गया मतलब I will have to increase the supply, isn't it? To meet the demand. अब supply increase करने के लिए what do I need to do? I need to produce more. Now to produce more, what will I do? I will employ more people. Employ more people, isn't it? And when I am employing more laborers, I am employing more people, what does that imply? I am reducing the unemployment. So what is happening? Because of inflation means market में पैसा ज़्यादा हो गया है. Now in the short run, अभी what happened? Because this is in the short run, still now the price have not increased to that extent. The price of the product have still not increased. The effect is still, what is the effect in the market? It's still where the currency, where the money, the cash in hand of the people have increased. Okay. Still now, because it is in short run, try to understand this very nicely. Because it is short run, the prices of commodities have not yet increased till now because of inflation. What have happened because of inflation? The cash in hand have increased. The purchasing power of consumers have increased. Because the purchasing power have increased, demand बढ़ गया. Demand बढ़ गया तो to meet that demand, supply को बढ़ाना पड़ेगा. Isn't it? Ab short run mein supply ko producers will be increasing, but in long run what will happen? If the demand is increasing, if I see this thing, this is the equilibrium, right? Now to stand in the equilibrium, supply ko increase karna padega. But what will happen in the long run if the demand increases? Demand is negatively sloped, right? So here it will be what? Excess demand ho jayega. Excess demand ho jayega matlab prices will be increasing. Invisible hand will start working. Hai ki nahi? So supply, when supply is less than demand, in the long run prices will start increasing. That is the reason when, because of inflation, prices will increase. But what we are studying here is in short run. So short run में producers पहले will try कि how can I meet that demand. अब मेरा भी production ज़्यादा होगा, sale ज़्यादा होगा, so I will be in profit, isn't it? अब अगर resources के साथ I cannot increase the production, that is when in long run happens that the price is increasing because there is limited resources. But here, still now, I have the resources to produce. I have the resources to increase. So, we face the trade-off between inflation and unemployment. So, the last point was a very nice point, very nice thing. So, I have tried to explain you all. If you have any problem, write in the comment section below. So, I hope you guys have understood this video. Please hit a like and subscribe to my channel. Thank you. Bye-bye.